I'm gonna feel really, really bad if I didn't catch Joroimo's name at the very beginning of this season. I didn't put the two together. Now, again, I don't know if they ever named the guy that actually took in Vueko at the very beginning or what, but yes, they pretty much at this episode connected the two of them. And I'm like, wait. Did I miss that? Am I that dumb? I know the people that I keep getting these really nasty messages every now and then in my comments for Made in Abyss. So I'm sure that particular person was yelling at me at that time, and I completely missed that comment. So, anyways, episode 9 of Made in Abyss, second season. Things are really at this point ramping up to what seems like it's going to be just more tragedy, just more bloodshed and everything. But at the same time, at the end of this episode, it really does leave you with the feeling of, is it warranted? Is it warranted is the big, huge question mark this entire season really is creating. It's this aspect of all the wrongdoings these people did, the blind eyes they turned to everybody, and now revenge. Is it warranted at this point? Kind of, it's almost like that feeling of like, you find out that this guy that's like 90 years old, 40 years ago, a cold case was opened up and they found that was the person that did it. It's like, at this point, I mean, they now have children, grandchildren, they've, do a lot of stuff for the community and stuff like that. And it makes you feel like almost weird about it. And it's just, but it's still, that still happened. That still happened. It's that gray area that is very an uneasy feeling. Some people will see it as no matter what, still justified, but still after you get to know people like Mugi and stuff like that, you start to go, I don't know if I feel how I feel about this. I don't know how I feel about this. But yeah, really great episode overall. Visually still fantastic. I actually went back and was checking out some of the episodes of the first season and I almost I think they really did bump it up. I think Kinema Citrus has really bumped up this series with its second season. It almost is night and day in certain respects for the visual style and everything. So really impressive. Opening up this episode, I kind of got a clarification at some point in this episode. No, I kind of thought that's what happened. Fopta took both a ear and an arm off. It looked like that when she was first ripping it, but then every time it showed her, it only showed her head. So I assumed it was just an ear, but no, both an ear and an arm was given to him. It still seems itchy, so she has him kind of pat. It was interesting because when they first arrived back at the village, obviously Regu takes the part and goes into the village, but specifically Fopta looks at Riko and says, "You look very nice now." And she's looking at the whistle. So it's like, wait, so Prushka, she knows Prushka? Is that what they're saying? Is that what they're insinuating here? Is that she knows Prushka? I mean, we have seen Bondrud coming and visiting them on a regular basis. That's how they got Mitty, the clone Mitty. So it makes perfect sense that they would have met at some point. It's just specifically Fopta, who's been outside of the village, running into them is kind of interesting. And what that could possibly mean going forward is the question mark. But yeah, the moment they get in there, the balancing, the souls are going crazy. All the souls of the children of Urumuri are going crazy in the village. And obviously, they're assuming it's because this thing. Vueko says something interesting here, saying that you can't take this to him yet. And my mind immediately kind of grabbed onto it. At least my assumption, based on our knowledge of this world and what has kind of transpired, is, yeah, this is a guy who did not like what happened with Urumuri. This is a guy that did not like consuming this stuff. So taking this raw flesh to him doesn't make much sense. But at the same time, it's like, well, but you did suggest that, Vueko. You suggested a part of Fopta. And so it doesn't really make much sense if you're going, wait, well, we can't do that yet. Almost kind of insinuating this idea that you're going to convert it to something else, maybe just the skin. Either way, I don't think he's going to be too happy about it if that's your concern. But yeah, this is where we do get a clarification of what the promise is. Apparently, she did tell him what the promise was. And the promise was that the initial promise was that she wanted Regu to help her figure out how to destroy the village itself. Again, going back to her revenge against all of them and to free her mother. But it specifically says that he had the tool to do it, which they deduce is the incinerator. The incinerator has the ability to break through this membrane and allow her to come in. But not only that, but she does clarify the idea that, yes, once you said that, once you told me about this thing, this thing that you said that comes out of your hand that can rewrite things, you left. You said that you couldn't use it yet. You had to go find your special thing. Or I think that was the translation for special thing. He had to go find that thing, which makes me kind of wonder, what was in his mindset at that point? I got this laser thing, but it's going to knock me out and I need to go. Hopefully that'll be explained later. But yeah, so when we finally have Wazukan notice that Fueko's there, I think he probably knew before then, but yes, he finally grabs her and says, "Hey, where are you going?" "Oh, so it seems like you probably told them about me too. So, Riko, am I a bad guy now?" This is kind of one of those moments of too pure Riko. Of all this information that she has about Wazukan, she doesn't even hesitate to really say, "I don't know. I don't know you." And I think that's a good way to put it. Like, for a lot of viewers' perspective, we're all going, holy crap, this dude fed everybody this stuff. But from her perspective, she wants to know more. She doesn't know what his... I think what we kind of get out of this is that Rico doesn't know him. She knows what he did, but she doesn't know him. Doesn't know why he did what he did. And I think that's the core thing. I think that's what a lot of people were probably questioning from last week's episode is, or at least the last 2 episodes, is what is his driving force? Was it an aspect of you had no choice? Is it an aspect of you following this prophecy? Is it fate? All this kind of stuff that could play into it. He's a very calm voiced person. You would assume that he has some sort of logic in his head. And trying to figure that out is obviously where the key of the storytelling in this entire series is. Ozen, Bondrewd, all of these characters are more than what you initially see. I mean, even Kaja at first glance was kind of creepy. Even technically... Bailoff, who ended up turning into one of probably the most kind-hearted persons in the end of the last episode. You kind of finally realize this is the only person amongst all these people that's outwardly saying, I'm sorry, I didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. They were feeding him and he couldn't say no. But yeah, Rico says, no matter how many sacrifices you made, how much stuff you trampled upon, you had a wish that you wanted to come true, obviously. But at the same time, she's noting here that this isn't your end game, is it? Like, she's noting right here that you want to continue. Like, you haven't even gotten to the Golden City yet. Here, we finally get the confirmation, or at least her assuming at this point that they are only technically, at this point, the 6th layer is only the entrance to the Golden City. Like, you stopped the door, and you didn't go you want to go further, don't you? She believes that he does want to go further, that this is not his end game, that this was just their only choice. They got to this point they couldn't turn back. They went to the point of no return, and now they were stuck. And so this is the only sanctuary they can create to stay there. So she believes that what he wants is for Rico to use the cradle to free them so they can continue their adventure on. It was interesting here having him going, oh, you're one of those people that he spoke of. The people that no matter what, their home, where they find their home is to continue that journey, like to not stop. Your home is where you feel comfortable is continuing on that journey nonstop. Which he's like, nobody here is going to criticize you for that. We all are the same. We're all the same. Nobody has changed. But yeah, that's when Jeromeo shows up, and I'm hoping this is the point where they actually made that connection. I don't remember them mentioning his name at the very beginning, but she's like, yeah, why is this dude here? Like, who is he? She's like, oh, that's something that Urumui created from the signals that were coming from you. While you were gone, you were away, you're always away from distance yourself, she decided to create that. That part didn't really make much sense to me. He became a sort of this protector of the village itself, but I'm not really sure exactly where they got that from, that whole situation. What connections made there? Hopefully that's not something they cut from the adaptation from the manga, but I'll be curious if they get into details on what exactly that means. Yeah, everything goes downhill. He has to use the incinerator in order to fight back. He obviously questions if this is the good thing because 1, he's going to create a hole, but 2, he's going to go unconscious. 3, add on to that the fact that Fuapta will show up. He's going to start slaughtering everybody, so he's not going to be able to protect Rico. So he's trying to barter with people. Well, here's a piece of her ear. Can you use this as bartering to protect her? Because I'm going to go unconscious in a minute. I was thinking right here, like, Bolton, to just grab Rico, jump up there where Fopta is, and at least that was signified to her that don't kill Rico. But no, this makes it more intense, so it's fine. But no, the souls of Irumui attack Fopta. She says, you've been taking care of her for this whole time. Good job. But then it kind of consumes them. It heals her. And then she lays it all out. You all have been making my mother suffer this long time. All the terrible things you did to her in the past pretty much lays it all out. This is about revenge. I am going to free my mom. You have all consumed her as long as you have. You have been enjoying all of this luxury and living endlessly inside of her. I am going to put an end to it. I'm going to destroy every single one of you. Which again, like I mentioned at the very beginning, just really hits in that area of like, you can't really say the sins of your father kind of aspect, but just really the sins of yourself in your history. All the things you did in the past, which you might at this point feel sorrowful of, but mostly you would kind of assume that a lot of these people have just completely forgotten it. They become these hollows and they just sit there and they consume whatever treasure they decide to convert for. They probably don't even remember. Like, because of how excited they were of Fopta being created and watching her and being excited about her and seeing her as like the embodiment of value, it almost feels as if they don't even know what they're doing anymore. Yeah, so we get a brief shot of Nanashi, and it seems like she's dreaming from the perspective of Beloff. Because it says about, like, I kept watching, I'm watching from a distance, I'm watching them, go around, doing all these things, they're trying to achieve what they want to achieve, and then she wakes up. And she looks up to Beloff, and Beloff is like, yes, that dream's continuing. It's finally, it's no longer a dream anymore. Like, things are going down. So, at least it seems like Nanashi got the catch up. But yeah, I'm very curious. I'm gonna assume that we'll probably see Beloff take action. I don't know. I see Beloff being somebody that would probably just go before Fapta and say, go ahead, do whatever you want to do. But Beloff's mind might have changed at this point. Beloff might see that Fapta isn't doing what Urumuri wants to do. I'd be very curious to see that. Maybe that's why the souls of the children went after Fapta. Maybe they didn't know who she was, but they could also be a case where Fapta believes that's what she wants, that's what Urumuri wants, but Urumuri doesn't want that. I believe wholeheartedly we're going to have Fapta going crazy, and at some point, I don't know if Urumuri herself's going to say it, or maybe Beloff's going to say it for Urumuri, but we're going to get this perspective that Urumuri wants to keep this village. Urumuri does not want Fapta to destroy this village. Fapta believes that's what she wants because her mother's in there suffering. I believe that Fapta wasn't created by our vengeance. That they just see that she took on that vengeance because she can't understand things from Urumuri's perspective. And she's going to go crazy, but then at some point she's going to realize, no, what Urumuri craving for wasn't to get her free, wasn't to get her revenge. It was to be free. She wanted a child that could go on adventuring, go off and do the things that they were kind of doing, to be free, essentially. But anyways, that's my thoughts on episode 9 of Made in Abyss second season. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, comment, let me know it's of the episode, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share this video if you can, support us on Patreon, or throw a tips link in the description below. We definitely appreciate everybody it does, and y'all take care.